What's going on, everybody? We're going to get ready to get the show started in just a minute. We are going to talk about this post game. We got TNT post game. We're going to talk about this just embarrassing and humiliating 26-3 loss to the Houston Texans and what this means going forward because the Tennessee Titans did not do themselves any favors and they looked pretty bad in this game altogether. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about, what stood out. And then, we're just going to have a quick discussion about all of this. So we're going to get the show started. Yeah, come on in and share this show out. Everybody, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, Twitter X, come on in and join. This is a family friendly show. We agree to disagree, but I will tell a lot of y'all, if you're expecting a fanboy or you're just expecting, rah, 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 it's all right, this ain't going to be for you. Because I'm going to say some stuff a lot of y'all are not going to want to hear, but it needs to be said. We're going to get this show started in less than 60 seconds.
Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody?
What's going on, everybody? Titan Nation and all fans everywhere. Welcome in to another edition of the TNT post game. I'm your host, Blue Enforcer, aka The Truth, and I welcome everybody on in. Definitely make sure y'all go ahead and if you want to follow, go ahead and follow on Facebook at TNT Enforcers. I'll accept you. I know I'm being a little bit behind on that page. Also, Twitter X at TNT Blue Enforcer, which I've been getting a lot of clap back from a lot of different people there, and of course, some of the main culprits. I've invited them to join. I've invited them to come on in and chat as well. See if they'll do that. And on Instagram at Titans_in_truth as well. And also, super chats are also appreciated as well. And everybody, I'm gonna have the live updated on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple and Google Podcast in just a little bit. Also, I forgot to mention, Happy New Year, Happy 2024. Welcome to the new year, everybody. I know some of y'all may have went out and got drunk and had a good time and everything. I hope everybody is safe and secure, and we go into 2024. And so I definitely do thank everybody. But for the new year, go ahead and do me a favor, everybody, as you come on in. Go ahead and smash that like button for me. Help me out in the new year and everything, because I'm trying to get to 1,500 subscribers. If you can help me out for the new year, let's get 2024 started off on a better note than what the Titans did yesterday. And of course, some other teams did some damage as well. And if you're new to the channel, just like Collective Soul and a few others from yesterday, go ahead and join, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell and hit all under your notifications. That way you'll know every time I go live. We're going to have some things coming up. I'm going to try to revisit and relaunch some things in 2024 and try to be a little bit more consistent. That's something that one of my resolutions for this channel, to make this the biggest, baddest, best show on YouTube, the best Titans content that you want to come to. You ain't going to want to go anywhere else. Although I will give some love to my guys, Titan Upload, Titan Rossi, 615 Podcast, and all those cats. The guys at the Sick Podcast, my man Sal. I got to give it up to those guys too, as well. And also, if you can't listen to everything, make sure you go ahead and download Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcasts. Download Titans and Truth on there so that way you can listen to that. Because, I know some people can't listen to the whole thing, and definitely do that. And you can also catch up that way. I'll have this episode and the live out today. That one I guarantee you. So let's get into this game, because the Tennessee Titans, as the title said, the Titans got embarrassed again, humiliated again by the Houston Texans, 26-3. Amar says, very embarrassing loss. We got AZ Mick up in here. Said, can't wait for this season to end. Derek Roberts tightened up. Collective soul. Congratulations to your Saints on their victory. I know who that. Victorious, and they're still trying to fight for their playoff lives. Of course, as Derek Roberts will come in and say, we got to coach better, play better. That much definitely cracks me up. Stevie is in here. Let's finish out this season. I definitely agree. I'm the only one that like to show support this, man. It's a free channel. Exactly. You're getting all of this for free. I definitely do appreciate super chats, because that helps me. It helps the channel. And I appreciate everybody sticking with me, even through the mic and audio difficulties that sometimes come up. Why the hell are we playing our quarterback Volcano? We're going to definitely get into that. Amar says, you've come a long way. Show has definitely gotten better. Man, I appreciate that, Amar. Thank you very much. And again, next week, and Ms. Jackie said, please get us a new head coach. Sorry, not sorry. I know that's right. Trilogy, what's up? It's been a minute since I've seen you in here. And Xavier, my man Zach, Titans will have a top 10 first-round draft pick. We're guaranteed at least a top 8 draft pick. We could get as high as 4, but we can't go no lower than 8. That much. Narva dude, thanks, True, for the platform. Tough season, time for some major changes all season. Narva dude, thank you so much for the super chat. I definitely do appreciate that. It means a lot to me, so I definitely do appreciate it. But let's get into this game, y'all, because this was humiliating. This was embarrassing. The Tennessee Titans fall 26-3 in a game that wasn't even close from the kickoff. It was basically over from the beginning. And, to watch through all of that, it wasn't really a lot of positive to take away from that. The offensive line looked pitiful. Andre Dill Picklard, the nasty Dill Pickle, don't know how and why he got the start again at left tackle. How many chances is this guy gonna get? How many chances is this guy gonna get? It and he gives up. I believe he might have given up like a couple of sacks in this game. Tannehill and Levis got sacked 6 times, and we'll get into the quarterbacks in just a second. But Dillard looked horrible. Jalen Duncan comes in and doesn't do much better. Skoronski had another bad game and everything. The only bright spot maybe was Dylan Radens. Again, I'm going to go back and watch some film, but this offensive line is terrible. And it was on full display and everything on that. It was terrible. And then you bring in an extra offensive lineman, John Ojoku, a.k.a. OJ, as Vrabel loves to call him. And he gives up a sack, which not only resulted in a defensive touchdown, but you get Will Levis hurt a second time. And he gets carted off, and he's probably done for the season, which even if he begs Mike Vrabel or begs the brass to play, I would not play him. It's done. It's over. And so I would just sit him out this game, take this loss, let him get healthy and get ready for next season. And then Tannehill comes in, tries to do something, but he ends up taking a beating as well. And, he even said in the post game, he felt like what John Wick felt like at the end of some of the movies. And he said he ain't even seen the movies, but knows what happened to John Wick. Just all kinds of beat up. It would not shock me if Malik Willis started the last game. And I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, it was just terrible. Derrick Henry. Now, congrats to Derrick Henry. He got over 1,000 yards. He got over 1,000 yards for the season, but it was a minuscule because he only had 12 carries for 42 yards in this game. It was not good at all for the King. And Tajay Spears didn't fare any better. I think he had, I believe, and I can bring that up. I mean, Tajay Spears had like 5 carries. He had 6 carries for 0 yards in this game. It was bad. It was really, really bad. Traylon Burks, I am about ready to give up on him. I mean, Will Levis threw a nice deep ball that Traylon, it just got out of the fingers of him. He should have kind of went for it. I mean, he needs to bring that in. And then congrats to D Hop as well. He surpassed 1,000 yards, 7 catches, 72 yards. Haiti couldn't get in the end zone. I think he's gonna be he's a little bit over 1,000 yards. I think he'll get a bonus if he gets 1,050 yards, which I believe he should be able to get. Again, with this offense, you can never tell. I mean, DeAndre is 1,011 yards. He just needs 39 yards to get his $1 million bonus for yards. And I mean, he would still need 4 touchdowns to get his bonus for touchdowns. So, I mean, I think he'll get like either 250 or 500,000, I believe, for something like that. So he might get about maybe 2 million of that $3 million bonus, but he's not going to get the full bonus, unfortunately, because this offense just stinks. On the defensive side, and I mean, let me go back to the offensive line because you let a bunch of backups take you down. But then again, was Andre Dill Pickler who gave up back-to-back sacks to Will Anderson Jr. And I mean, he comes in, hadn't played much in the last few weeks, comes in and picks up 2 sacks. Derek Barnett on that same side against Jalen Duncan, got cut by the Eagles, comes into the Texans. He gets 1.5 sacks in this game. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, it was a sack party. And the Tennessee Titans have given up 62 sacks on the year, and you still got 1 game left to go. All right, y'all. I am actually on my phone at the moment because I'm having some technical difficulties with my microphone as usual, and I don't like it. But we're gonna definitely work through this and everything. So we're gonna keep this thing going. And but this offensive line has been pretty bad, and it is not even, you know, funny how bad this offensive line has been. And it's just, you can't make it up how bad this offensive line is. And then you go on the defensive side where you don't get much players, you don't get much production in your pass rush. I mean, Harold Landry, congrats to him. He gets his 10th. He has 10 and a half sacks on the year. He has 10 and a half sacks on the year, and he has definitely quietly come along. But I mean, at the same time, it just seems that you can't get no pressure, you can't cover anybody, and you make all the other offenses just look good all the time. And it's terrible. And it is bad that this is what's happening, but things do need to change, and they need to change in a hurry. And I just, um, and I really don't see how that's going to be done under this current regime. I mean, Okay, we are back. I had to fix up my microphone on there. I had a difficulty, but we kept through it. But I mean, the fact is, this Tennessee Titan team defensively, couldn't really get a bunch of pressure. I mean, the Houston Texan offense could do anything and everything they wanted to do. And, it's just bad, and you couldn't stop the run. Devin Singletary, he didn't run crazy like he did the first game, but he had 16 carries, 80 yards. Nico Collins comes back, and, he has 7 catches, 80 yards. And CJ Stroud didn't have to really do a whole lot, but looked efficient in doing it. And, looked efficient in doing that. And the Tennessee Titans offered little to no resistance. And, and that's just, is really, really bad. Like my guy Morocco is saying, 6-7 sacks seems like the norm. Mr. Pocket Hercules said they about to get blown out next week too. Collector Soul talking about how we look bad against, how similar to how they look bad against Minnesota. I'm like, well, Saints are better than us. Amar said we need to bring back Mike Munchak or Russ Grimm as offensive line coach or consultant. I would be on my knees begging for one of those guys to come back. And so I would be on my knees begging one of them to come back. And it wouldn't even be a question when it comes to that. So I honestly, I mean, it just all looked bad. It was a complete blunder. And then on special teams, even though Ty Zentner actually punted pretty well in this game, you had a chance to get off the field. You had a chance to get off the field, and you had them pinned deep, and you could have gave yourself good field position. And then Caleb Murphy makes the catastrophic mistake running into the kicker on 4th and 5. You give them an automatic first down, and what do? They go down and score. They go down and score a touchdown. and it was 10-0 after that, and it was basically all she wrote because the very next play, strip sack 17-0. And you knew how this was going to play out. Again, this is a book we have read so many times before, a movie we've seen 1,000 times before, and it always ends the same way. Which makes me ask this question. What's going to change? Because now you got to get into, we done talked about the offense looking bad. We've talked about the defense, not doing much better. And I mean, I know they gave up one lone touchdown, but it was pretty bad to the point where Davis Mills got in. So you couldn't beat a third string quarterback who was a healthy scratch yesterday. And then CJ Stroud looked efficient. And the difference between that is Bobby Slowick and D'Amico Ryans put their players in the best position to succeed. Whereas Tim Kelly, Mike Vrabel, and Shane Bowen put our players in the best position to fail. I mean, we get outgained well over 150 yards, 312 to 187. Well, almost 150 yards. You only rush for 53 yards. You have only 11 first downs for the whole game. You're 1 of 12 on third down. And, really in a lot of ways, you got dominated in time of possession, even though it says 33-11 to 26-49, and you get your quarterback killed twice. Bad. And you know what? I'm not even mad. Said can't complain when all the fans wanted us to lose. And I'm right there with them because I wanted a better draft position. I knew we were going to lose. Which brings me to this. Why does it seem like all the games have the same script? Run, pass, punt. Pre-snap penalties. Showing no discipline. Not paying attention to detail. Don't seem like they're prepared. And in a way, it felt like the team quit yesterday. And I know what a lot of you are going to say, because I've heard so many excuses on Twitter X, it makes me sick. And it's the roster. It's John Robinson's fault. John Robinson messed this up for us. Once again. And I know a lot of people bag on Jarrett Stillman and everything, but he's not wrong when he says this. Quit with the excuses. And this is where I call some of you fans out. Stop with the excuses. A bunch of y'all want to defend Mike Vrabel so hard, acting like, oh, he's such a great coach. That's all I keep hearing from the local media. And don't get me wrong. I love Miss Teresa. I respect Miss Teresa. I respect Tehran. I respect all of the local media. But I got to call some of them out too. As much as I respect them. And I do this respectfully. Quit Colin Vrabel. Quit enabling Mike Vrabel. Everybody want to say it's John Robinson's fault. Yes. Did he have some bad draft choices? Absolutely. But he got fired and has been fired for over a year. A lot of this roster has Mike Vrabel's fingerprints all over it. And if you want a little bit more clarity on this, I want y'all to take a listen to a call from Titans Talkback. From Titans Talkback earlier from yesterday. I want y'all to hear this call. This was a great call, and y'all need to listen.
615-737-1045. Neil in Nashville, next on Titans Talk Back. Hey, Neil.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Good. How you doing, man?
Hey, Kevin, man. I like to finally get to talk to you, man. I appreciate the time you put on the team when you played here, man. You and Mason and Chris Sanders, man. I thoroughly enjoyed watching you guys play. As a Tennessee hometown boy. So,
thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
I was going to talk about the offensive line. The first thing I got to say is that guy Rich that called in, there's no way that you can say Vrabel's a great head coach. One, this offensive line is not John Robinson's fault. Let's talk about this. Who signed Dillard? Vrabel. Who drafted Skoronski, an offensive tackle, and puts him at guard, and he's getting smashed? Who gave Brewer a $4 million contract for a 280-pound center that can't snap and can't block? Brunskill's been okay, and right tackle's been terrible. Not to mention, they didn't draft a wide receiver till the 7th round. They looked into Hopkins. They won't even throw Burks the ball, which I understand he's been hurt and all that. Yeah, I'll give Brown the Brown trade, Robinson, that wasn't great. But Vrabel needs to go. And Rand can go too if this is how it's going to be. I'm tired of mediocrity. I'm not putting excuses on nobody from here on out. I don't want to hear about Robinson. This is Vrabel's team. And if he's going to start making roster decisions, that's not good. If Rand's going to be the GM, he needs to get the players. Vrabel is not a GM. Now, that's just my thing. I'd like to see us go get the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. It's turning into an offensive league. But that guy says Vrabel's a great head coach. I don't know anybody that's 5 and for the last 5 and 11. No, but over the last
5 and 18,
5 and 18,
5 and 18, 19.
Oh, right.
If you include that 7-game losing skid from last season.
Absolutely, they get you fired.
Yeah,
100%. So, but guys, I appreciate y'all taking the time. But man, I want whatever beer that guy's drinking and watching the games. If he thinks he's a phenomenal head coach, then that guy needs to watch San Francisco. They need to watch some Baltimore Ravens.
All right, but that's a gentleman by the name of Neil who called in. I hope everybody can hear all of that. But he's absolutely right, and this is what I have been saying all along. This is what I've been saying all along. Because a whole bunch of you, especially out there in Twitter world, and I'm going to clip this so y'all can hear all of that. A lot of people on Twitter want to make so many damn excuses talking about, oh, it's the roster. And, Vrabel had a bad roster. Nobody can coach this roster. Here's the thing. Quit blaming John Robinson. Like the caller said, who brought in Andre Dillard? John Robinson didn't do that. Mike Vrabel signed off on that. Who drafted Peter Skoronski, an all-American left tackle at Northwestern? Let me say that one more time. An all-American left tackle. And decided, you know what? I'm just going to move him to a position he's never played in his life. I'm going to move him to guard because he's got short arms. And I had an argument with this guy on Twitter who said, well, he's developed this player and that player. I'm like, you named like 3 players who were really good and already came in talented. The fact of the matter is, I said, look at Rashawn Slater in L.A., and he said, well, that's just one guy. He's an exception, not the rule. No, don't use that bullshit excuse with me. Rashawn Slater went to Northwestern just like Skoronski, played left tackle like Skoronski, had short arms like Skoronski, and the Chargers played him at left tackle. He was an all-pro. He's a Pro Bowl left tackle. Not saying Skoronski would have did exactly the same thing, but you don't know until you put him in that position where he belongs. He did the same thing to Dylan Radins. Dylan Raiders play right tackle instead of his natural position at left tackle. Who decided to give Aaron Brewer $4.3 million instead of it at 2.6 and keep saying, well, I love Aaron Brewer. He's tougher than a $2 steak. John Robinson didn't give him that extra money. Daniel Brunskill, who brought him in? Now, Brunskill isn't terrible, but he ain't exactly great either. And then you lucked into Chris Hubbard a little bit, was okay. He gets hurt. Dylan Raiders maybe getting a little bit better at times, but not 100% great. NPF gets suspended. He comes back. He looks terrible. This John Ojoku comes in, gives up the strip sack. Terrible. Who made all these decisions? Who decided to put these guys in the game in these situations? It wasn't John Robinson that did that. Mike Vrabel made those decisions. And everybody want to say, well, Mike Vrabel isn't the one in there blocking. He isn't the one in there doing this. He's put those guys in those positions. So you might as well say Vrabel was the one out there doing it. Again, who the one that decided Elijah Molden should be safety after Kevin Byard? I mean, I thought it was a decent move at the time. Hasn't worked out. Who's decided to keep putting Christian Fulton out there and he's getting burnt all over the place? Sean Murphy-Bunting ain't much better. You put Trey Avery out there, he stinks. And another one. Everybody wants to talk about, well, Vrabel developed Jack Gibbons. Gibbons sucks. And the only reason he looked so decent in the offseason, Vrabel just handed him the starting linebacker job. He sucks. But you want to blame John Robinson for everything. This is Mike Vrabel's fault. And everybody want to say, well, he's such a good coach. He'll get a job easily everywhere. Okay, who cares if he gets another job elsewhere? Brandon Staley in L.A. Yes, he was not a great coach, but he was 24-24. He did not have a losing season until this year. Got fired because the Chargers either didn't make the playoffs at the very end of the year or basically had a big lead and lost it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everybody, a lot of these so-called Vrabel supporters want to just kiss Mike Vrabel's ass all over the place and want to give every excuse in the book, but then at the same time won't acknowledge that he's the guy making the decisions. This guy is 5-18 in his last 23 games, 12-21 since the start of the 2022 season. Any other head coach on any other team would have been fired by now or will get fired at the end of the year. And I'm going to get to some of y'all comments in just a second. Think about that. About to be 5-19 in your last 24 games. Ken Wisenhunt got fired for less. Brandon Staley got fired for less. Mike Mularkey won a playoff game and got fired because he wouldn't fire his offensive coordinator. And others want to say, well, he needs to get better coordinators and things like that. Didn't he try that? He fired the last offensive coordinator. He fired the last offensive line coach. All he did was promote from within. Tim Kelly was already there. Jason Hoteling was the assistant of the assistant coach. So you've already tried to do that. I said, well, get a new offensive line coach, get a new offensive coordinator. We've already tried that, and it hasn't worked. Todd Downing, Tim Kelly, Keith Carter, Jason Hoteling. You notice how nothing else has gotten better? And another caller called right after that and said, Didn't we go into last offseason saying we need a left tackle? We need a left tackle. We need to fix the offensive line. It couldn't get worse than Dennis Daly, and it did. What's the common denominator in all of this? Mike Vrabel. Everybody say, well, you need better coaches. Who hired the coaches that's in place right now? Shane Bowen probably didn't deserve the job. I mean, Mike Vrabel the whole year back in 2020 would not officially name him defensive coordinator. Brings in Jim Schwartz. The defense all of a sudden looks great. Then he goes to Cleveland. And what's Cleveland's defense right now? Number 1 in the league. And Cleveland's in the playoffs. Jim Schwartz leaves. The defense completely goes back down the tank. And let me get to some of y'all comments because I know I've talked your head off. Morocco saying, Eagles fans putting all kinds of heat on Sirianni, and he just took them to a Super Bowl. Has back-to-back double-digit winning seasons. They just lost to the Cardinals, who are about to pick maybe 3rd or 4th in the draft. And Eagle fans are calling for Sirianni's head, and they just went to the Super Bowl last year. And Eagle fans are already wanting him out. Again, any other organization, Mike Vrabel would have been fired. And nobody would be calling him such a great coach as the local media and the national media wants to proclaim. Yeah, all this could have been us, but Vrabel's ego gets in the way. Derek said I was out on Vrabel the moment he didn't fire Todd down after the DUI. Again, Amar, perfectly on. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, was fired 2 years later. And look at what happened. Urban Meyer didn't even make it through 1 season. Got fired. And it looked like Trevor Lawrence was on his way to being a bust. Doug Peterson, an offensive-minded head coach, rather, comes in and has literally saved Trevor Lawrence's career. Literally. And I want everybody to win too. And so, let's see, Collector Soul said, I have friends out who are blaming Vrabel for the way the Titans are playing. Exactly. I mean, here's the thing. Mike Vrabel is acting like he can do no wrong. And Mike Vrabel, he chose the coordinators. I know Ms. Mims is like, I don't know what the heck is going on. Titans stink. That's what's going on. And everybody want to say, well, he's such a great coach. I mean, we're so lucky. Again, we haven't won a playoff game since 2019 when we went to the AFC Championship. Since then, we have been bounced in the very first game we've been in the playoffs. How many games have we won in the playoffs since 2019? 0. We have missed the playoffs the last 2 years and now have had back-to-back double-digit losing records. Back-to-back losing seasons. Any other coach would have been fired. Frank Reich, who didn't do great in Indy, was fired less than a year into his season in Carolina. So why does Vrabel get a pass? Why do these coordinators get a pass? But everybody want to say, give Vrabel a chance. Give Vrabel a chance to fix it. I mean, let's think about this. Will Levis just got hurt. Just got carted off. Probably done for the season. You trust Mike Vrabel to develop Will Levis into a franchise quarterback? Do you really trust Mike Vrabel and this staff to help Will Levis get to where he needs to be? They're on their way to ruining this kid. And a lot of people say, well, give him one more chance. And then if we look bad to begin the year next year, then you fire him. Here's the problem with that. You would have already ruined Will Levis not even halfway into next season. And you would have wasted a year. And the fact of the matter is this, and Dr. Dyson brought up a question. He said, well, would you be okay if Vrabel brought in a more innovative mind as an offensive coordinator? Here's why I would say no to that and just go get an offensive-minded guy as head coach. Because if you bring in a new offensive coordinator and he helps Will Levis get to where he should be, and this offense looks way better than it's ever been, that guy's going to be gone in less than 2 years and be a head coach. And then you're going to be right back to where you started. You're going to have to pick another coordinator and another coordinator. That's the problem that DeMeco Ryans is about to face. You notice 2 out of the 4 who are in playoff contention have offensive-minded head coaches. Bobby Slowick is about to be a head coach. And DeMeco Ryans is going to have to pick a new offensive coordinator for C.J. Stroud. DeMeco's about to face this problem. So don't be surprised if the Texans take a step back next year or the year after, depending on when Slowick goes to another team as head coach. And I'm with Brandon. It's everybody's fault. Vrabel is not exempt from this. And Derek Roberts is right. Mike Vrabel, and as long as Mike Vrabel is head coach, this offense will never, ever change. Whether Derrick Henry is on it or not. So, again, Vrabel has got to go. But the only problem is, I don't think Miss Amy Adams-Strunk has the guts to do it. Because she's thinking with her heart, not with her mind or pocketbook. She ain't thinking bottom line. She just loves Vrabel so much and is so dedicated to him so much that after losing 7 in a row, she gives him more authority, more power, and influence over the personnel. People want to say it's a collaboration. No, that's what we're covering it up as. Vrabel is running the show, and anybody that thinks otherwise is not thinking clearly. And Philibert says, I could take bad seasons sometime, but I can't take a head coach who's not willing to change. Rand's going to have to do it. And again, Derek said, we lost a lot of draft positioning by not embracing the tank. Again, like I told y'all, Mike Vrabel, the victory against Miami was the worst thing that could happen. If you had lost this game to Miami, which they should have, they would be like 4 or 3 right now in the draft order. Maybe even 2 with a chance to either have some power in a trade to trade down and still get that offensive lineman and get some more picks. Or you could have drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. You could have had a lot of control because somebody's going to want to trade up for a quarterback. Let's say if Drake May or Jaden Daniels is on the board when you pick. There are going to be a few teams lining up wanting to trade up for that number 3 or number 4 pick, and you could get a little bit of capital back. Instead, you beat Miami, and now you lost a lot of draft positioning. Not to mention, the Giants didn't do you no – Mason Crosby of the Giants did you no favor missing that kick. If he makes that kick, we're at least 6th right now. And This guy Caesar comes in. I don't know if he's talking about me or not. Probably is talking about me, saying, well, the OC doesn't make the quarterback. Stroud is great regardless. He's going to slap the Titans for the next 15 years. I don't know if he's talking about me or not, but the fact of the matter is this. Yes, Stroud is a good player, but the offensive coordinator helps him be a better player. He puts him in good positions to succeed. He basically runs plays to his style, to the quarterback style. So, you saw some of them you saw some of those bootlegs where he kept them moving out of the pocket to where he could throw those routes. There was a play where the pressure was coming from his front side, from the right side. He backs up knowing that there's no pressure from the backside to where he could throw the ball and avoid the pressure. He moves. Bobby Slowick helped C.J. Stroud move the pocket. Gee, that's a good idea. Something I've mentioned before that the Titans don't do. Lake Show said we should have lost to Carolina. We kept that game a lot closer than it should have been. We weren't drafting Harrison unless we got the first pick. Chicago drafted Harrison number 1. I don't know. Depending on what they want to do with Justin Fields. Although Justin Fields had a pretty nice game for Chicago yesterday. Lawrence is a good player, but stunk under Urban. Again, Urban Meyer was about to ruin Trevor Lawrence. This season was done after London. And I think that's what I gave up. I gave up after the London game. And so all of this not blaming Vrabel is ridiculous. Anybody that thinks, oh, we should keep Vrabel no matter what, I truly question your line of thinking. And again, a lot of the local media, I don't necessarily believe a lot of what they're saying. Of course, a lot of people say, well, Miss Amy loves Mike Vrabel. She's not going to fire him. And most likely, they're probably not. As much as I want Mike Vrabel gone, and as much as a lot of you want Mike Vrabel gone, I am embracing myself for the fact Amy Adams-Strunk is not going to fire Mike Vrabel. Why? Because she just loves him so much, and she's going to probably think, I believe Mike Vrabel can fix this. I got so much faith in Mike Vrabel. It doesn't matter that he's 5-19 in his last 24 games. It doesn't matter that he just got his butt kicked twice by the Houston Texans at home in our Oiler uniforms and in my hometown, embarrassing us. It doesn't matter. We're good with losing. And then Vrabel's going to come back, which gives me no excitement for next season. I will not be excited at all if Mike Vrabel is back, no matter what we do in free agency or the draft, because Mike Vrabel is going to screw this up. And you're hearing it first. I guarantee all of y'all are going to come back sometime next season and be like, Truth, you were right. You thought like a lot of us do. You said it. You said Vrabel was going to stink it up in 2024, and he has. Because if you keep Vrabel, this exact same situation, we're going to be in this exact same situation next season. And it needs to be put on Rand. He's not going anywhere, to be honest. And you know what? That means the Titans ain't going anywhere either, except in the toilet. They're going to suck again next season, no matter what you bring in. Amar says, I think Mike Keith knows he's going to get fired. No, I don't. I mean, as much as I love Mike Keith and he is an inspiration to me, he works for the organization. He's not going to say anything out of line against Vrabel or against anybody in the organization because he works for the organization and he's not going to put his job on the line. He's not. Vrabel is the safest person in the NFL. Seems like it because everybody just seems to love him. Even Matt Ryan, the former quarterback, said, well, Vrabel is such a good coach. I mean, you give him another chance to fix this. He's had 6 years. Yeah, he was decent in the first 3, but in the last 3 years, you had a great chance to win a Super Bowl and you blew it in the playoff game. And since then, you started off 7-3. You get the drunk DUI, and after that, you've gone 5-18 since. 5-18. Again, a lot of other coaches would have been fired. But no, a lot of fans, just like the local media, nope. 5-18, 12-21 in your 12-21, in the last 2 years. Nope. Vrabel deserves no blame at all. You haven't developed any. No players have developed. A lot of players have regressed. Chig has regressed. Traylon Burks looks like a bust. Will Levis gets hurt. Your offensive line is worse than it was last year. Your defensive line can't get no pressure. Even with Big Jeff, you were having trouble getting pressure. You can't cover anybody. The team has systematically regressed every game. But no blame on Vrabel at all. Vrabel has nothing to do with developing players that were drafted that he helped pick. Nope, they don't blame him at all, which I think is ridiculous. And I get what you're saying. I wouldn't keep him either. But again, it's all what Amy Adams Strunk and Rand Carthon think. And I don't think Miss Amy has the balls to do it. I don't think she's going to do it, and I don't think she's going to give Rand the power that he should have to make this decision so he can go get his guy. And until that changes, this team is going nowhere fast. Now, people will ask me, well, if Mike Vrabel gets fired, who are you going to bring in to replace him? Let's see. Ben Johnson in Detroit. Bobby Slowick, who just whooped your tail. I mean, need I say more? I mean, there are other coaches that out there that could get looks that we don't know yet. Again, Eric Bieniemy could get a shot. I mean, let's see. Other teams that are really good. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator in Baltimore, could be another. I mean, Kellen Moore, I believe he's the offensive coordinator in L.A., unless the Chargers give him the head coaching job. There's a couple of ways you could go with this. And so there's a couple of ways you could go, but I mean, it seems like there's a lot of fans out there that are afraid of the unknown and would rather stick with mediocre to damn near awful football than be afraid to try something different because you're afraid that's going to fail too. Be like, well, you can't keep switching up new coaches. It's just like trying to pick a quarterback. You keep doing it till you get the right one. And Trilogy's right. Amy doesn't have the balls and Rand doesn't have the power. We're going to be a 5-win team next year. If Vrabel stays, exactly. That is exactly going to happen, and we're going to have the same problems. And then a bunch of y'all are going to come back complaining, talking about, well, Mike Vrabel should go. Mike Vrabel, why did they fire him last season? And some of y'all have already called for his head. But I'm talking about the ones that defended Vrabel so much, going to come and talk about, they should have fired him last year. And I'm like, I told you so. And now you would have wasted another year of Will Levis's development. And like Morocco said, and I even said it, you go ahead and get rid of Vrabel now. You get a new head coach. You get 2 years with Will Levis to develop. and develop an offense around him and not around Derrick Henry. You get it around him. You use Tajay Spears. You get DeAndre Hopkins involved early and often. You get another weapon with some damn speed that I've been begging for years. And you get 2 years to make this offense big time. You don't keep Vrabel. If you keep Vrabel, you're wasting next year. Then you got to fire him, bring in a new coach. Then he's only got 1 year before that last year, because going into that 4th year, Will Levis's agent is going to demand $50 million or more for that quarterback. And you would have only had 1 year to fix it before you probably got to pay Will Levis a bunch of money. So that's what it is on that. Titans suck right now, and I love them. I love them to death. I'm going to cheer for them hard. I'm going to cheer for them to win. Maybe not this season, but next season. I hope they win. But if Mike Vrabel is head coach, I won't be excited about next season because I already see how next season will go if Mike Vrabel is the head coach. And yes, and one other thing. I told a lot of y'all a long time ago, get ready for life without Derrick Henry. This could be Derrick Henry's last game as a Titan coming up. And a lot of y'all have not let that sink into your mind. Y'all still talking about, they better not get rid of Derrick Henry. I'll be sad if Derrick Henry's gone. I will quit on the Titans if Derrick Henry's gone. First of all, that means you're not a real fan. And 2, that also means you didn't think about none of this before thinking about the future. The guy turns 30 in 3 days. It's time to move in a different direction, people. So you either need to get on board or get the hell out of the way for the real fans. Get on board or get out of the way. Miss Amy needs to fire Vrabel and let's start over. And set that expectation that, you know what? We've decided to go in a different direction. And we've decided, I think it's best that we start over. We're going to make a new transition. And I understand this could be very difficult for fans. It's going to be difficult for us too. But we're going to ask that you be patient with us as we make this transition into the modern era, into this new era with whoever is head coach and Rand Carthon. We're going to let Rand run the personnel and get the players that the coach needs and wants. And then we're going to let the coach this team. This is going to take some time. We're not saying that next year we're going to be right back in the playoffs, although that would be nice. It may take a year, it may take a couple of years, but I guarantee you we are going to slowly rebuild a winner. We have some foundational pieces. Now we've got to rebuild this structure strong. We've got a new stadium. We've had to tear it down, and we're just going to rebuild on the foundation that we have, and we are going to grow this team back into a championship contender. And I ask that you, the fans, stick with us. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be some tough days, but there are going to be some good days as well. But we are going to go into this new adventure together, and I guarantee you that we're going to find a way to make it to the mountaintop. It may take a year, it may take a couple of years, but we are going to get there. If you say something like that and set the expectation, then we know what to expect. We know what's going to come. And I would be okay with that. So that's how I would do it. But everybody, I think that's going to just about do it for this show. First, again, Happy New Year to all of you. Welcome to 2024. Wednesday, we will have TNT tonight, the first TNT tonight of the year. We will get ready for the regular season finale against Jacksonville. And so we will get ready for that and maybe get ready to say goodbye to Derrick Henry. But again, everybody, thank y'all so much for tuning in to TNT Postgame. I'm your man, Blue Enforcer, a.k.a. The Truth. Again, Happy New Year. Again, share this show out. Super chats are appreciated. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And y'all have a very good rest of your New Year's Day. I'm finna get ready to go watch some football in a little bit, and we tighten up because that's all we unfortunately know how to do. Good day, good night, Happy New Year, y'all. And make sure y'all help. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Hit that like button one more time for me. Hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. And I will see y'all Wednesday. Good night, y'all.